Welcome to KSOK Uncensored. Tonight's guest is a new friend of mine, Matthew Bumala. Matthew lives here in the Pacific Northwest. He is a husband, a father, a business owner, a patriot, and he does so much in the community. Thank you for joining us this evening.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I just want to dive right into living in the Pacific Northwest is very unique. And though we have freedom fighters all over the nation, when you live in a state or a city that is truly, truly behind enemy lines, life is quite different. What have the past 2.5 years done for you, and have your priorities changed?
Yeah, so I grew up in Battleground, Washington. I was actually born in my house, so true native of the area.
Whoa.
And the last 2.5 years have been absolutely a mess. I mean, we've seen lockdowns throughout our cities, our states, and our whole entire country. And I remember I was on a plane going to Mazatlan when everything hit, and people were telling us, "You're not going to get back in. They're not going to let you back in the country." And they're freaking out and saying, "You need to come back home." And we'll be fine. We'll get back. And we did, and we came back to a very different America in 1 week, and started to see panic and ensue, and everybody sort of go with whatever an expert was telling them they needed to do. And I just, from the beginning, was thinking, what's happening right now? Is this another swine flu, another bird flu that they're really, really taking out of context? And so we just saw government take their iron grip and on every level, municipally, from a county, from a state, from a federal level, and try to dig their claws into controlling the masses.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I know so much, right? And so many people complied. And I don't know about you, but even just recently, I'm starting to see an uptick in people wearing masks again. They are
Yeah.
so brainwashed, they are captured. And I feel like the Pacific Northwest is next level. People have no idea what kind of people we deal with here. So, as far as priorities for you, being a husband, being a father, local business owner, what
Mhm.
really erupted out of you in these past 2.5 years?
Well, you have to go back about 24 years or so. My mom was the campaign manager for our Congresswoman Linda Smith. She ran two successful campaigns in Congress, and then she ran a U.S. Senate campaign against Patty Murray, who is still here. Hopefully, Tiffany Smiley can change that. But my mom was involved in politics, even ran for state senate in 1984, and so I grew up in it, and as a kid all the way to my teenage years. And so I've licked a lot of stamps. I've doorbelled a lot of doors as a kid, handed out candy. This is all before the social media days, when you got out literature to people, handed out pamphlets, all of that. I was very involved in everything, and it exposed me to a lot, to see the good side of politics and also the ugly side. And I always kept my conservative values, always kept my opinions really strong, kept myself informed. But I never really got involved with a campaign. I never really got involved with a candidate up until about 18 months ago. And so I really got sick and tired of complaining and not doing anything about it. So I got off the couch, and I let myself kind of go outside my comfort zone and get involved outside of just my vote. And so that's what's really motivated me the last 18 months, is seeing that our country's under siege right now. We're really attacking our own and our own liberties, and it's something that will be irreversible if we don't do something, and do something now. That's what I was thinking. That was the urgency in my mind. And so having that past kind of exposure to politics, and being around really good people, and seeing that as a young kid, I hadn't really exposed myself back into it until recently, and I've been full steam ahead, full throttle ever since the last 18 months.
Ah, that's fantastic. So, these past 18 months, have you been working on numerous campaigns or just one in particular?
The one I first got involved in was with Joe Kent. When he first announced that he was going to run, I think it was in February, I did some research on him. I reached out to him. I said, "Hey, our current Congresswoman, Jamie Herrera Butler, is a personal family friend. We know them very well. I voted for her every single time. But that ends on this next election. I'm going to be putting my support towards you." And the thing that what I lent him, the help that I could help him out with, was, hey, I've got a PA system. I do music, so I've got a portable PA system. You might need it when you're going out and doing town halls, or you're in a park, or whatever it will be. I'd be happy to help. And he took me up on that offer, and I did several different town halls and get-togethers where they were using our sound system. When he had Matt Gates come out, Matt Gates was using my
I
microphone. I'm like,
love
"Well, that's pretty cool."
him.
And so I was a sound guy. I was in the VIP behind the stage and everything. It felt pretty cool. But in that really bonded a friendship with Joe, and I've just been a full supporter of him, gotten to know him very well. And then getting to know other great candidates like Jeremy Baker, who's running against Monica Stonier, Michelle Belcott was a very important candidate for Clark County. And then, got pillars like Don Benton, which you obviously know very well. It's been around for a long time. Even my mom was campaign manager for Linda Smith. These are very important people in our community that we need to get over the finish line to really stop the insanity that's been pushed by the left in these Democrat policies.
And getting involved, like you said, is so incredibly important. I also like that you pointed out what you talked to Joe about, what you could bring to the table, because so many people, they don't realize what all goes into a campaign. And for you to say, I can get involved, I can donate my time, and I happen to have sound equipment, and that is something that politicians need. So almost everybody has something that they can donate. If they're not able to donate money or their time per se, you can donate a skill or a talent. And I love that example because it goes a long way. It's really important.
Well, I drag a lot of friends up with me. I said, hey, we got to stop complaining about this and actually do something. And so I told Joe early on, I said, you could be within 100 votes or 1,000 votes at the end of this primary. And this was a year ago. And I want to do everything in my power to know that I helped bring however many people I can to your support, and for them to bring their people and just let that have a ripple effect. And lo and behold, he was a little over 1,000 votes. I mean, it really came down to it. And so I'm proud of my friends and everyone else that got involved and really did something. And I was asked, how do there's voter apathy. We have this problem. There's this, like, I guess, this lethargic feeling that people have where they go, it doesn't make any difference, no matter what, it's just going to be the way it is. And they said, what can we do to change voter apathy? And I said, it starts with us. It starts with each one of us making the individual effort to go and talk to our friends, our family, get them involved, get them in the know what's going on. There's a lie that we live in a purple district. That's been said for so long. And so we just accepted who's going to now be our former congresswoman was our only choice. And we just kind of thought, we got a purple district. We got Democrats and Republicans. It's a mixed. And it really isn't. It's very strong red. The problem is there hasn't been any excitement to get behind any candidates for a very long time. And that's changed. And so you see patriots coming out from the woodworks, literally, and from the hills and going, enough's enough. And if you just look at the primary votes, even if you take in Heidi's votes and Vicky's votes and Joe's votes in the congressional race, what a huge turnout we've had. And so I think people have had enough, and they're finally getting up and doing what I've done and getting involved.
I love that. All right, let's just dive into Joe, right? I have some numbers here, and I know you're well versed in it, but I want to touch on the fact that so the incumbent, well, she didn't make it through primaries, but then incumbent Jamie Herrera Butler, Rhino, but family friend. How I have to say that is very bold of you to go out of your way to say, even though she's a family friend and we've known them for, say, decades or a decade, I don't think that she's right for the community any longer. And I'm going to throw my weight behind someone else. Wow, that's a bold move right there. How did that go down?
Well, actually, so I'd already decided when she went to run that sham impeachment of Trump, along with 9 other disgraceful members of Congress and that were Republicans, those 10 joined the Democrats to do that. I went, we've got to find a better option. August rolled around of 2021, and I was in Sun River, Oregon with a friend of mine, and lo and behold, Jamie was there. I hadn't seen her in years. No one's seen her in years. She hadn't done a town hall in 6 years. And so we approached her and talked to her. It started out okay and ended up getting pretty heated because my friend was talking about January 6th and the way she mischaracterized and everyone with a blanket label and just all the things that she had done so hastily in that very confusing situation. And she ended up coming unglued. She ended up getting really, really nasty, actually. And it was disappointing because, she's somebody we know. She's somebody we all have history with. But I said, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure she doesn't get reelected. And from that day forward, I kind of put the afterburners on. I was already motivated to, but after that encounter, I was like, it's time for you to take your victory lap. Thanks for the service you have done, all the good things you might have done, but it's time for someone else to be tagged in here. So that really motivated me big time, that encounter that I had with her. She voted for so many omnibus bills where she'd come back and brag and say, look what I did for the salmon or the forestry or whatever it was that she was bringing back for our district was muddled with all these huge omnibus bills that paid for Planned Parenthood that had red flag laws in them. I mean, she voted so far from conservatives on so many different bills, but because she had an R by her name, people just thought, well, we don't want Carolyn Long, who was running against her before. We got to vote for Jamie, and that's how a lot of us did. We plugged our nose and we voted for her, and now we don't have to have that option, thankfully. And but it's not over yet. He's got quite the candidate, Marie Glassenkamp Perez, who has very little knowledge of anything and only name calling and rhetoric against him. But I think he's going to come through with a victory, and people are really seeing through that. So.
I think so too. And, you know, he's Trump endorsed, and Trump endorsed candidates, America First candidates, have been doing very well. And I know when I was at CPAC and Trump happened to be there, we were on
Yeah.
eggshells watching those numbers. I think I was refreshing like every 20 minutes to see
Yeah.
what his numbers came back as. I mean, you're right. He was ahead by 1,068 votes in the primaries, ahead of Jamie Herrera Butler. So looking at, let's do like a little, like we're looking at some sports here, because I've got some numbers I want to go over with you because I'm curious. So for everyone watching, Joe Kent, so it was a jungle primary. And so that makes the primary very, very difficult because there were so many people running, including conservatives, 5 conservatives on the ticket,
Yeah.
9 people total. 2 Democrats, 2 independents. On that topic, before we dive into numbers here, I want to know, why do you think conservatives eat their own? Because as I've been involved in campaigns in Clark County, I am watching conservatives attack each other. People within the same party are attacking each other. And from what I'm
Yeah.
hearing, this has been going on for a long time. Why do we do this?
You know, we're taking it right out of the liberals' playbook. I mean, that's what they do. They eat their own, and they name call and they label. If you don't check all their boxes of the things that they value, then you're evil. You're whatever, fill in the blank. That they call people, and we found ourselves doing that with each other, and it's really important to look at the nuance that's behind that. I think we're finding out who the true patriots are versus the establishment Republicans or just the establishment enabling Republicans. Um, like I said, we've been told that our district, if we're going to talk about locally here, the problem, it's a national
Yeah.
problem, but we're told it's a purple district. So people feel this need that we need to play nice in the sandbox. We need to compromise, all in the name of unity. And look where that's got us. Whenever we've tried to play nice in the sandbox with Democrats, they have just taken us down this road where we were one of the biggest lockdown states there was. We were always competing with Kate shut down Brown, and Gavin Newsom, American Psycho, down in California for so long. But
I love your nicknames for these guys. Wait,
yeah,
what do you call Inslee? What do you call your governor?
our governor, Jay Inslee. Oh man, I can't say it on
What's his
camera here.
nickname?
But
Not
I
appropriate.
think, yeah, no, not at all. I think that what we're seeing though is, we have good representation for the first time, and there were some good conservatives that were running in the primary. And
Right.
I mean, if I'm giving my observations and my opinions, I've been wrong before, but I think there's a lot of ego that got involved. I think there were sharks swimming in the water. They're circling around, saw opportunity, because this is the first time congressionally, if we're going to look at that, for instance, you said we had 5 conservatives in there. I wish they would have united around one candidate. We know which one I would have chosen, the one that Trump chose as well, the one that others vowed to get behind if they would have put the endorsement on them. But that changed, and we saw a lot of vitriol. We saw a lot of labeling. We saw the same tactics that the left does with calling everyone racist, calling everyone xenophobes, calling everyone transphobe, you name it. We were doing the same thing against each other and calling each other Nazis and socialists and all of that. I didn't see Joe do that, but I mean, we saw other candidates do that. And I don't know if it's just a vie for climbing up the ladder to try to polarize them, their opponent, so that they could get better numbers. All I know is it was wrong, and we shouldn't be taking that from the liberals' playbook, because that's what they do. They eat their own. Now, as far as exposing true rhinos, Republicans in name only, I think that's very important for us to really expose that, to really see where people stand. We just had the Clark County Republican Party just had the vice chair, Kathy McDonald, step down a few weeks ago, citing family reasons, that she had like triplets or twins or triplets that were being born in the Tri-Cities, want to spend more time with their grandkids. Sounded very, very virtuous. And no more than a few days later, she's doing a fundraiser for Marie Glassenkamp Perez, where Democrats and Republicans.
Oh.
So we're seeing people getting uncomfortable that are in the establishment, that are the rhinos. The patriots are sick of it, And it's starting to make them uncomfortable and exposing them for who they really are. And they're all saying this in the name of unity, in the name of common ground and us coming together. And it's all BS because, again, look where it's gotten us. Look what's happened. How good has that been for us? People thought that no one would be able to unseat Jamie, no matter who that was, whether it was Joe, Heidi, or Vicky. They thought there's too much money, there's too much power behind the establishment to do that. And look what happened. 1,062 votes difference, but it happened. And hopefully it will be a landslide against Marie.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. I was doing the math last night, and so I mean he really looks to have a really good shot, but the general is so different than the primaries. So many more people vote in the general than they do in the primaries. But because of that
Yeah.
jungle primary, I do think Joe has a really good shot, but I like that he's approaching it cautiously,
Yeah.
where he's not assuming he's got it in the bag.
No,
So he's smart.
no, I
He's
just
smart.
talked
Go
to him
ahead.
today. He knows that, there's no sitting back and relaxing
Yeah.
until it's over. And that's how he was in the primaries. They spent every dime till the very end to make sure that they left it all on the field. And
Right.
so
Right.
we knew that, and before the results came out, that no matter what, he did so many town halls, hundreds of town halls. He was willing to speak to anyone and do it anywhere, whether it was in front of 5 people or 500. And he's willing to do that still. And he's going to be having a very busy schedule from now until election day. But yeah, you're right. The general
Yes.
is different. We've done kind of the math. If you take a third of Jamie's voters and say they end up voting for Marie, or they just vote for a write-in, they don't
Right.
vote for him, he still wins. So, I mean, you collect Heidi's votes, you collect Vicky's votes, and you collect 2/3 of Jamie's votes, and maybe anyone else that's sick and
Right.
tired of what the Democrats are doing, he still
Don't forget
wins very
Leslie.
easily. Yeah, yeah. Can't forget Leslie French
Don't
and
forget
his
those
Cowboy.
thousands.
Yeah, yeah. You need him. You need him.
Uh,
Leslie, tell your friends. Vote for Joe. So, yeah, I
that's
mean, I think
hilarious.
he's
Yeah.
going to win, but Marie's got a lot of money. The machine is behind her, and rhinos like Kathy
Right.
McDonald, who defected and are trying to help her out, her and others that are disgraceful to even have a conservative label next to their name,
Right.
are trying to help her.
Well, I want to talk about the recent debate with Joe and Marie. And really, it was a bloodbath. I will say thank you, Marie, for actually showing up, because so many Democrats, they are no-shows to debates. Happens
Yeah,
quite often. So she shows up, and you were
well, you
there.
can't really call
I
it.
opted not to go.
I got a front row seat. I was 3 rows back. You couldn't really call it a debate. It was a bloodbath, like you said. It was. I
Right.
tried to, the little bit of empathy in me was actually looking at her, and I tried to imagine, what if Marie was my sister and she's a Democrat running for
Aw.
Congress, but I got to come here and support her. I would be so sad. Get her off the stage. Get her off the stage now. She was reading from cue
Yeah.
cards and doing a poor job at that. All she had were these, white nationalist accusations, and that Joe is an extremist. I mean, just the same buzzwords. There's a saying, of those that control the language control the narrative. That's what the left has always tried to do, is change the definitions of things to control the narrative. And that's what she was trying to do from stage. And she was even doing a poor job at that. Just the art of debate alone, she couldn't even display well. And Joe just showed he knew so much more about the economy. He knew so much more about foreign policy. He knew so much more about our national defense, about the border, about all the issues that we're facing. She had nothing. She kept just saying, I have an auto shop. When he even exposed and said that, tried to say he was extremist, he said, this is a social media post from you guys, not the Gateway Pundit, not some Republican publication, but you guys were aiding Antifa by offering free services to fix their leaf blowers, which they were using to blow back tear gas into police. And her
Right.
response wasn't to deny that. Her response was that an employee had posted that, and that, she was trying to say, we don't have control of what our employees do. Well, Joe was quick. He knew who it was. He goes, your employee that's sitting up front, you mean your husband? Because that's who posted it. And it's her husband.
Oh.
I have a screenshot of it still. I
Oh,
don't think they've taken it down still on Instagram, but she even tried to deflect that and be like, oh, that was an employee that posted it. You mean the guy that you live with, that you have a child with, that employee that's sitting in the
wow.
front? So, it's really funny that she would try to label him as an extremist with nothing. I mean, you have the burden of proof. If you're going to call
Yeah.
someone anything, you have the burden of proof to provide evidence that they are whatever you're accusing them of. And he
Right.
had that. counter, but all hers was just labeling with no substance whatsoever.
That's what they do. That's what they do. They put her in, her little commercials. They stick her in like she's wearing a onesie garage. I don't know what they're called.
Oh, yeah.
But whatever
Yeah,
you
yeah.
wear when you are a mechanic. But they stick her in that. They put her hair up in a ponytail like she's been working really hard and oh man, leaning over an
Unfortunately, that
engine.
campaign fools a lot of people. That fools a lot of people, and it will get votes. But
Yeah.
it's going to go so far. And the
Right.
people
Right.
that I think are voting for, they vote on intention and what they believe where someone's heart is, not their competence, not their knowledge, not any of that. She is just as dangerous as anyone out there. She's trying to be this normal Democrat, this different Democrat, and it's not true. She's going to be
Right.
lockstep with Nancy Pelosi, with the Biden administration,
Right.
with whatever they tell her to do, she's going to follow suit. She doesn't even know. She'll be a fish out of water there. She won't even know what to do. And they'll see that and they'll want to take advantage of her. So
Right.
hopefully that will never even have to happen.
Yeah, I feel very confident that Joe Kent is going to pull this off. And I think it's awesome that you've been behind him for so long because people don't realize these campaigns, especially for those big positions like that, they are a marathon. It is, I mean, like you said, 18 months. He's got to be
Yeah.
tired. His kids have to miss him. I mean, it's just absolutely a
Yeah.
selfless thing that he's doing, but he's doing it very
He balances
well.
it well.
So I think
He
that's awesome.
balances it
You've been
well.
working with him.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, it's one of these things going back to how Democrats just kind of dress up. I feel like they almost put on costumes.
Yeah.
I think of like Nancy Pelosi when she put the African garb on and was on a knee and could hardly get back up. I think of that. So Don Benton, who I work for, his opponent likes to dress up like she's a farmer. Though she's was in Oregon for 30 years working in and leftist policy,
Hey, can you imagine
but she'll
if
put on some
conservatives,
green
if we dressed up
overalls
in
and a
African garb? Yeah, if we dressed up in
what?
African garb, went on our knees, they'd call us racist. They'd say that we
Oh,
were doing cultural appropriation. There would be all of that thrown at any conservative that would dare to even mimic the exact same thing that they're doing. The pot calling the
right,
kettle black, the rule for thee but not for
right.
me is so rampant with them.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So they all dress up. They have their little costumes. They, play the part. And so we see that locally. We see that on the big stage. All right. So I want to pivot over to you personally. So Matthew, you just came out with your first, right?
I
First
did.
single
Yeah.
and a whiskey hymn. And I love this song. I feel like you shared it with me like maybe a
Mm-hmm.
month ago and I was like, "Oh my gosh, people will okay, this is going to sound bad, but people will send me things and like, "Oh, this is my music." And I'm like, "Oh, that's good." Yours was legit, like right
Thank
up
you.
there with something I would go pay money for. So, Matthew is going to play his single for us. I'm very excited. And where just real quick, where can people find your single?
So I'm on Spotify, and I should be now live on everything for iTunes, every pretty much media platform. If you put music to your Instagram reels or like TikToks, you can actually look up Whiskey Him, and you'll see
Oh
my
my
name right
gosh,
there.
I
I'm
will be doing that.
Yeah, so
I'm
you can put
excited.
Whiskey Him in the background of a video. But yeah, I've been so bad at social media and trying to grow a following on there. I've been just putting effort the last few months to really focus on putting more and more stuff out. But there's a lot more songs to come. This is just the first one I wanted to release. I have other ones that will be coming out shortly, but this was just to give a taste kind of my music and something I've really been really only pursuing the last about the same time, 18 months. And it's been fun for me. So I appreciate you coming on. When you asked me to do a song, I was like, "You want me to sing on the podcast?" Never done that before.
I'm like,
So
heck
anyway,
yeah. And wait, I
just let
have
me know if
to,
you're
can
ready.
you real quick tell people you mentioned your voice changed when you were singing one day and now it has more gravel to it.
Yeah. So true story. So I used to lead worship at church years and years ago, and then I just kind of let my guitar collect dust for 6, 7 years. My wife and I took a trip to Ireland, and we went to a few different places in Europe. We spent 4 days in Ireland, 4 days in Paris, and 4 days in Rome. And we were on our last night in Ireland, and we hadn't found a pub that we were looking for, the one with like people arm in arm, clanking glasses, singing. So we called our Airbnb host and said, "Is there such a place that even exists, or is this in our imagination?" She said, "Yeah, you need to go to the Blue Light." So we go to the Blue Light, overlooks Dublin. We're the only non-locals there. They're just excited because we're Americans, and they're asking us a bunch of questions. They're drinking Coors Light because that's imports. They're really excited about that. And
Oh my,
and this guy comes in with looks like an Irish Bob Dylan, brings a guitar in, big curly black hair, and start singing for like an hour, and we're having a great time. And then my friend, a couple Guinnesses deep, goes, "My friend Matt sings and plays guitar." And I hadn't played in years. I really didn't know a ton of covers either, because I did mostly just church songs. But I went for one song that I knew how to do without needing the lyrics or chords, and it was Folsom Prison Blues by Johnny Cash. And as I'm kind of humming it, I was tuning the guitar. I listened to in my head. I was just getting ready to sing it. I was listening to the verse, and I thought, I think I can. If I play it in this key, I can hit the higher octave if I really push for it. And so I did, and something like cracked in my voice when I did it, and probably damaged something. I don't know, but it now has a little more character. But I never had rasp or grit in my voice when I sang. And then Dublin, Ireland changed my voice. I found my voice in
I
Dublin.
love
So
that. Such a great story.
yeah,
And if you have an
yeah,
injury, hey, it worked to your benefit.
yeah. It's been several years now, and it's still working, I guess. So
Love it.
anyway, so Whiskey Hymn, you ready?
Ready.
Good book's been quiet. I'm surrounded by noise. Don't feel like praying, but I know that's my choice. So I reach for the cabinet with a glass and some ice. If you're willing to listen, I could use some advice. Where do you go when I'm running away? How many sips before you no longer stay? This bottle in my hands like an anchor in the sea. If I let go of it, will you still find me? I took one shot of whiskey, started talking to the Lord. 3 shots later, the devil's knocking at my door. I wish I could say I've never been here before. Should have stayed with one shot and kept talking to the Lord. Toss the first one back and it goes down smooth. When I close my eyes, I can feel you move. You remind me you're here and you never were gone. But it's hard to remember as a prodigal son. I took one shot of whiskey, started talking to the Lord. 3 shots later, the devil's knocking at my door. I wish I could say I've never been here before. Should have stayed with one shot and kept talking to the Lord. Lost in the moment and the bottle's gone dry. I do this every time and I don't know why. Where did you go? Did I scare you away? Now this angel of light wants to lead me astray. I took one shot of whiskey, started talking to the Lord. 3 shots later, the devil's knocking at my door. I wish I could say I've never been here before. Should have stayed with one shot and kept talking to the Lord. Should have stayed with one shot and kept talking to the Lord. There you go.
Woo! Woo! You are awesome.
Thank you. Played a show for
so
4 hours the other
excited.
night, so I'm surprised I still have a voice. But yeah.
You killed it. Your music moves me. Seriously. It's really, really
Thank you.
good. Phenomenal.
More to come.
That's
More to come.
acoustic.
Yeah.
What was that?
I said more to come. More to come.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yes. And I will be at your next show when I'm back in town. That'll be fantastic. I really appreciate you coming on. You have so many layers to you. I love that you can just talk politics with the best of them. And then you're busting out a guitar, singing like you are on stage every night of the week, and that's your career. So, and you do a lot of other things we didn't go into here, but
None of
meeting
this,
business owner and
yeah,
parenting and yada yada. But
yeah.
anyways, thank you so much for tuning or for joining us this evening. Oh my gosh, you're really amazing. You have me all flustered because I'm just like, I think I just witnessed a star here. I mean, I think you're going to do something big with this. So, pretty exciting. But Matthew, you're an awesome patriot, and I just really appreciate you taking time out of your evening to come on. And thank you for everything you do for the community. Seriously, you do a ton. And glad we're friends now. I'm glad we were connected. And
Yeah,
I can't wait to have you back on when you have another song out.
let's do it. I'm excited. Well, thank you for what you do to the community too. It's a big difference that you're making, and it's an honor to be on here. So thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you so much. And then can you just real quick let everyone know where they can find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram under Matthew Bumala Music. I'm on Spotify. I'm on iTunes. I'm on all the different platforms. You can find my music on TikTok as well. And so there'll be more to come. I just have Whiskey Him Out as a single, but that's going to be changing soon. I'll be having more recordings out shortly.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. And thank you everybody for tuning in to KSOK Uncensored. I'll see you next Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, of course, 8 Eastern. Talk to you later.